Hello gamers, my name is Duma and welcome to the Game Room. Today I want to go over my favorite scribing ability I currently have on almost every setup, PvP and PvE, DPS and healers, and why you should consider using it as well. There are some really cool and somewhat tricky ways it can be used to really elevate your play I'll show you today, and it can just add some fun utility or diversity to your kit. Regarding specifically PvP, it's just ridiculously OP when used correctly. I'm going to break down the screenshot for you here a bit later in the video, but this is almost 500,000 group healing as a 1-bar bow sork while outputting this crazy damage, all from this one scribing ability. This ability will also be on several of the upcoming builds on the channel and website, including the bow sork I just showed you. So this will also serve as a bit of supplemental info for players on how to use the ability when that time comes for them, because there really are some quirky out-of-the-box ways to use it that many of you maybe not have seen before. Hopefully anyway. New stuff is the fun stuff. Since the day I discovered this ability and began using it on live servers, I immediately began sharing it on stream and Discord regularly for quite a while now. I could tell right away this was something different and special, and that skill is Ulfsild's Contingency, set up in this way with a burst heal, heal over time, and minor resolve buff. Let's first look how it functions. When activated, you place runes on your body for 22 seconds that does nothing at all. Your next ability with a cost will consume the runes and activate them using the ability. This can be any ability on your bars or even combat functions such as dodge rolls and bashes. Once it procs, it burst heals friendly targets around you and also provides a heal over time, and you get your minor resolve buff for additional resistances. Let's look at the actual application of proccing the ability. Once you have applied the runes, you can just use the same ability again to proc it if you like, which also gives you a new set of runes to use on the following ability. That will look like this. That can also be spammed if you like for burst heals and hots. Using a shield will activate it, a mobility ability will activate it, your main spammable activates it. You can couple it with any heal or orbs as a healer. This is particularly useful for getting to a location with runes already on your body, then blast double heals in one global for a tough mechanic, or helping a friend who's lost in fires. You can use it for secondary functions like dodge rolls, which is where some really cool stuff can happen and where I'm using it the most. Let's look at the proc in a dodge roll. You apply the runes, dodge roll, and proc them. Now let's look at that a little tighter and let's combo it in the same global. So in PvP, on setups that lean heavy into dodge rolls, in every global you are dodge rolling, if you have Magicka, you get your iframe, plus you can apply a burst heal and heal over time to you and your group, and getting the same buff you would have gotten from Green Vigor. You can precast and delay the heal and use it in fancy ways. You can even cast this 2 times in the same global with a dodge roll. That looks like this. Apply the runes, then dodge roll weave the second application. That's 2 burst heals in 1 global, and at this build's stat values, pre-battle spirit, that's over 40k healing in 1 global just from the burst healing component. As a 1-bar DPS build activated during a dodge roll. Let's look at these dodge roll heals with some people around. Now imagine that in a battleground or a small serial group where everyone is using it on the team. Well, you don't have to imagine, I went and tried it for you a lot. I want you to see this one. It's the same screenshot from the beginning of the video here. This is some of the wildest stats I have ever seen in a BG, considering all the factors of the build I was using. I'm not sure I've ever seen something like this in this regard. This is from the next build that's going to drop on the channel soon. A 3-in-1 bow sork build, so a PvP build that can also easily tackle group and solo PvE content with 1 and 2 bar versions. All versions of the setup are using this ability. The reason this is so special is this specific BG was from 1 bar using a bow as a sorcerer, and the only healing ability on my bar was Ulfsild's. No Flappy Bird, just healing contingency. First of all, there was no loss in damage. 2 million damage output, amazingly solid for any 1-bar setup, especially when you consider the rest of the BG and everyone else's damage. And this particular game, most people weren't even close here. Now let's look at healing. This is almost 500,000 group healing as a bow sork and no Flappy Bird. You know when the last time something like this was possible in any sort of non-highlight reel in any sort of consistent manner? Never. There was never an avenue to do this unless you were leaning hard on Flappy Bird spam heals, of which these heals were almost 0 downtime for me, as the majority of them were done during my dodge rolls I would already be doing regardless, head to toe and well-fitted traits. So what I'm saying is, this almost 500,000 healing was basically passively happening. Yes, I'm pushing the button, but I'm dedicating very little thought to it and ended up a full-blown group healer, just happening in the flow of my own combat. If you try to do something like this with, say, Matriarch, you would have tons of DPS downtime and just be gassed for resources constantly. Then having to deal with pet upkeep, it's just a completely different ballgame with this ability. Now look at these 2 2 polar wind spamming wardens, one leaning a bit more on damage and one leaning a bit more on healing. And look how close I was to both of them as a friggin' bow using sorcerer with 1 bar and only Ulf Seals as a heal. When used in this way, this is just S tier busted for PvP. Yes, dodge roll weaving abilities is nothing new, but the way this ability works with its quirky delay, crazy low cost, and the ability to use 2 in a single global with the dodge roll, and it's applying to your whole team, I mean, just look at this. This changes the game, period. Especially when you consider this is healing most things around you and not just you. If you can swing the mag cost in your setup, it replaces your vigor with a much superior ability when taking advantage of its uniqueness. If you're just using it for like a quick little spot heal or a quick little heal on the fly, vigor may be better for you. But if you want to get more oomph out of that skill spot on your bars, this definitely brings more to the table. Regarding healers, I'm personally using it on my 1 bar healer setups. So here's some clips with a veteran dungeon with some game room members where I have it as a group burst heal used in conjunction with orbs mainly. Altogether, this replaces radiating regen on your bars with its heal over time, adds a very strong AoE burst heal, and then all the delayed and double use elements I mentioned earlier that can be used for mechanics as needed. I genuinely don't feel the player base as a whole, just from my experience out there getting busy with things, is up to speed on just how strong this ability is, with its quirkiness and how hard it can be abused. This should be way more of a prevalent skill on way more builds, especially since we're all always chasing that new min-max dragon. This is also one of the reasons I'm making this video, to help get that knowledge out there so you can start playing with it as well. It's now on most all of my builds and will be on future builds on this channel until hopefully not a nerf happens. But until then, I'm really encouraging you to check this one out. Try it out and see for yourself. I think you'll be surprised how it's performing for you once you start really getting the hang of how to use it in these weird delayed ways and with your dodge rolls. And boom, that's it for today, gamers. If you have any questions, please let me know. Don't forget to check out the website for all your ESO needs and keep an eye out for some new builds coming this way on the channel. Thank you all for watching, happy scribing, and have a wonderful day.